start with, I call upon James to propose the health of the bride and groom.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome and thank you for sharing Andy and Jules' big day with us. My name is James, and I've been tasked with the honour of giving Jules away today. Well, I offered Andy some money, but unfortunately, he was going to take her anyway. So. Joking aside, I'm deeply honoured to be standing here today, as unfortunately Jules lost her beloved father, Norman, in January last year. Norman was a larger-than-life character. I remember meeting him back in my 20s, when I had hair, I was fit, as many of you runners in the room are. Yes, it's true, it's taken years and a small fortune to look like this. Norman was a school teacher, of the old school type, a generation sadly disappeared. I remember being in Norman and Valerie's living room one afternoon, after day out with Jules, sitting there like a small boy, feeling like I was being told off by the headmaster. Now, this where the story begins. I met Jules when we were both working for an investment house in the city. Jules was about 18, which puts me about 21 at the time. Norman was proud of his daughter, that she had carved out a career path at such an early age and hadn't gone down the university route like many others on the same path. Jules was good at her job, but always found time for a giggle. I mean, Jules, come on. Her infectious laugh could be heard on the floor above where I was. I was always desperate to go downstairs and have some fun. At the time, I could only describe Jules physically as plump.
Yes, that's true.
And Jules hid a number of insecurities, named from people at work who would try to suppress her ambition and teased her about her weight. At some point, though, a switch flicked in Jules and she decided to take to the gym. Now, some of you know Jules well, and will agree when I say that Jules never does anything halves. Oh, sorry. She's full on, and that's how she was at the gym. Jules rapidly transformed her body, but also her mindset. She became confident and hungry for more. I guess that more is obviously more achievement. So much more so that when gym instructors made their excuses, Rob, are you one of those gym instructors who make excuses? They were going to cancel their classes, Jules would step in and took class. Untrained, unqualified, but what the heck? If they can do it, I can do it. And that was pretty much Jules' mantra. Well, Jules did train, and she did get qualified. First it was exercise and music, then massage, then a number of other qualifications that allowed her to take classes or single clients. Jules later left her comfy job in the city to teach at the gym full time. Fitness Exchange, was it? Yeah? From the wrong, yeah? With Rob, of course. Jules recognises her strengths, and those in this field were something where choreography was involved. So she
still got it.
So she taught a lot of step, body pump, body combat, boxercise, just to name a few. Julie's father, unfortunately, was rather displeased with her in this course of her life. After all, she'd given up a respectable role in the city to craft a scratchy living, shouting, that's another word for motivating, jumping around like a loon in front of a bunch of other loonies. To be fair, most parents in that position would have questioned the path that their child had taken. But this wasn't Jules' endgame, because the gym circuit also gave Jules the opportunity to study. And study she did. Jules' confidence allowed her to go freelance and give her even more time towards her studies. First she did her degree in education studies, and then on to do a postgraduate certificate in education, qualifying as a teacher in 2003. Jules started at Downderry Primary School in Jules started at Downderry Primary School in 2000. In 2008, where she is today, at Downderry. Anyway, so while I was putting together a few notes for this speech, I was looking at the website and who's who on the school website, and you get the normal list of head teacher, teachers, TAs, but forgive me for being out of touch, but they have nurses, mentors, outreach workers. I mean, what's that all about? I mean, when I was at school, you just had a head teacher, a teacher, and that's it. Anyway, that was a long time ago. Anyway, when I got to Jules, it said Sen. Sen, I asked myself. No, I'm not getting it. So I had to ask the one woman, sorry my love, one woman in my life who never nagged me, that lovely lady Google. So, Jules, you couldn't just, and for all the teachers out there, sorry, not just, you had to become a special educational needs teacher. I mean, that is a remarkable achievement. Well done. Fortunately, Norman did get to see his little princess at work, and he relished the idea of visits when the school organised a Bring an Adult Day. Who said it was just for pupils? Jules, your father, just like your mother, we are very proud of you. You are an amazing person. Now, I'm not known for being very spiritual, but I am also very open-minded, and in a little break from tradition, may I ask you to stand and raise a glass? If we raise the roof, Norman might just hear us. Yeah. So after me, let's say, look Norman, she did it. Anyway, I've been truly inspired by Jules, and there's one lesson that everyone in this group, regardless of age, can learn from her, is that your goals and dreams are only limited by your imagination and a huge dollop of hard work. Sure, there will be the detractors who will try and dampen your spirit, but if you have the courage and determination, you can make it. I've only had the pleasure of meeting Andy a couple of times. The first time was actually at the engagement party. But it's clear that Andy and Jules are the perfect match. I mean, look at him, he certainly looks like the cat's got the cream. And Jules, you look absolutely beautiful. Anyway, I think that's enough now. So if you could all please be upstanding. I give you Jules and Andy.
And you will respond to that. I hope. Thank you.
Good evening, folks. I don't want to take up too much of your valuable time, drinking time, as I know, but there are a few things that a bride and groom should share on their big day. So on behalf of Jules and myself, here we go. I haven't even started and you look worried. Don't you trust me?
It's about as much as I do when you say, oh, only 400 metres to go, hun. 600 metres down the line, I'm still trying to stop my way to the finish line of the cross country. Yeah. Just like that. Go on.
First of all, my wife and I would like to thank everyone here for coming today. It means so much to us to have everyone we love and care for here to share our special day. And a special thank you for all those that have had long journeys to get here and have to change travel plans. I know Mike and Nicola fly out tomorrow to Berlin to go and see Martin Rooney, Croydon Harriers, star runner, defend his 4x400 metre relay championships. So we wish him well. Unfortunately, as on all occasions such as this, it's not possible to have everyone we hear with us today. Jules' dad, Norman, and both sets of grandparents would have loved this so much. Maybe we shouldn't have left it quite so long. To Dad's Jen, who is too ill to travel, and various friends who couldn't make it today, we know they're here with us in spirit, and more importantly, they're with us in our hearts. So with them in mind, could I please ask you to join my wife and I and raise a toast to those that aren't here today. So ladies and gentlemen, please be upstanding to absent family and friends. Now, events like this don't just happen. We've been planning this wedding for well over a year now. When I say we, Jules did actually all the work. One of the best things about being a man at a wedding is that they just seem to organise themselves. Although I did have to do all the driving to the wedding fairs.
Yes. Because you wouldn't trust me in the car.
Jules has worked so hard and put so much effort into making today special. She's organised and arranged many things I've never even considered. She's gone into so much detail and really has thought about everything. Even the beautiful fingerprint tree over the far side, which I hope all of you will add. Add your fingerprints too.
Your fingers, proxy fingers.
Nothing else. We'd also ask you to please sign the wedding book and the little wooden blocks out there. Sort of 2 names to a block. They're all sort of over there. And make sure you do that before you leave, please. Now on to my beautiful new wife. Thank you for agreeing to marry me. I have so much to thank you for. I love you with all my heart and truly all my world. I'm sure everyone will agree you look absolutely stunning today. But then you look stunning to me every day. I apologise about the next bit. You may have heard this already. She wrote me a beautiful letter today, saying she will always love me, except when I say there's only 400 metres to go to the end of the country. So she's even stealing my jokes. They do say today will be the happiest day of our lives, which does seem to suggest that the rest is all downhill from here. Although with you at my side, I have no doubt that every day will be just as happy as this one. Jules, I love you so much, and I'm looking forward to us spending the rest of our lives together. You're beautiful, smart, kind, caring.
Sorry, can you say that again?
You're kind, caring. And I'm so lucky to be able to call you my wife. So, ladies and gentlemen, can I please ask you to raise a toast to my beautiful wife? To Jules. Of course, I haven't just gained a wife today, but also a new family. Thank you for making me feel so welcome. Most of all, thank you for bringing up Jules to be the woman she has become today. I met Jules over 5 years ago, and initially it took some persuading for her to agree to go on a date with me. But eventually she caved in and gave me a chance. From the moment I first met Jules, I knew she was the one for me, and I wanted to spend the rest of my life with her.
And already at that point, I asked him what his surname was, and I was thinking, oh, I like
It did, however, take me around 3.5 years to pluck up the courage to propose to Jules. And after much deliberation on where and when to propose, I decided to do it at the Greenwich Park Run on Christmas Day. With the help of a couple of other runners, we held up a sign that said, "Will you marry me?" My biggest worry was not whether she'd say yes, but whether she'd actually see the sign. It was only about 10 foot by 2 foot, so quite small.
It's on here when you wanted it.
Valerie, Jules and I would like to thank you for being there when we needed you. I'm very proud to be your son-in-law, and I do hope I will live up to your expectations. I truly wish your dad could be here to share this special day with us, and I know he'll be looking down on you. Jules and I would also like to thank my mum and dad for their contributions towards making this day possible. We're eternally thankful and like to thank you for everything that you've given me during my life. They've always been there for me whenever I needed them, and they've been my role models, and I couldn't thank you enough. I just hope I can make you proud. Thank you for your incredible love and support over the years. Thank you both for welcoming Jules into the family. Finally, thank you for instilling me what it is that convinced Jules that she wanted to marry me today. I'm certainly proud to have you as parents. So we've got small gifts for both mothers here. I'd like to thank everyone that's helped make this day really special for us. A big thank you to Rob, Becky and John William for doing the readings today in the church. If anyone has ever done a reading on an occasion like this, I'm sure you'll know it's not an easy thing to do. The reading was excellent and we couldn't have been more delighted, so thanks to both of you. A really big thank you to Laura and Dom for their terrific duet in the church. Thank you to Murray for his artwork on the invitation and the reserve the date card. Yeah, you may not have finished yet, we may want one more. And a big thank you to our 4 photographers, Anna, Martin, Tom and Mike, and Matt on the video. A big thank you to our lovely bridesmaids, Maddie, Abby and Emily. I'm sure you'll agree they all looked amazing. You've done a fantastic job today and played a big part in making this a really what it turned out to be. Another big thanks goes to our 2 page boys, Toby and Daniel. To Natalie, the matron of honour, and I know you found it tough at times.
Exaggeration.
So, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to propose a toast to the bridal party. Is probably the easiest way to describe them. So if you could please be upstanding for the bridesmaids and the page boys. Thank you. Another big thanks to my best man Don for organising the stag and the two ashes, Matt and Colin. Thanks guys for being such great mates over the years. I've known you both for so long, and longer than I care to remember, and you've done a fantastic job today, ushering people around, and you all scrubbed up quite well. A special thanks to Matt and Colin for not turning up in their tracksuits.
Ready, go!
Dom should be a pro at his speech, because I believe he's been best man several times. So please, 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 feel free to heckle during his speech, and let's see if we can put him off. Those that do not know my brother well will also know he's not normally bothered about making a fool of himself on Friday night. So why change the habit of a lifetime now? Anyway, that's enough from me. My wife and I would like to thank you all once again for coming today. We hope you enjoyed the day and have a fantastic evening.
When I asked Andy exactly what he was expecting, he said, well, of course, there's only one thing he's going to do, and that's take the mick out of me all the evening. Now, although to be honest, he didn't use the word mick, but it was the meaning was there. So, could I please ask our best man, Don, to respond to Andy's thanks?
In fairness, Dad, it's not just Andy that I'm taking the mick out of. Cheer if this applies to you. Ladies and gentlemen, cheer. That's what you... Come on, if this applies to you, shout. Hey. Family. Yeah. Well done. Be family. Well done. Right. Croydon Harriers. Hashers. Prendergast and Cooper's Lane. Downderry school friends. Gym mates and Avery Hill Parkrun people. Hens and hen boys. Stags. And Norfolk relatives. Well, I was going to say that you all seem to know who you were and why didn't you when we were out there doing photos, but it seems that even in here you don't know who you are either, so that's reassuring. Right, I wasn't going to do that at all, and I already had 2,600 words, and so this is right. I'm sure you are all feeling replete from that delicious meal. No doubt you're itching to hit the dance floor. I was also going to say I'm not going to trouble you long. My wife told me that I should make the speech short. But I've got an hour and a half in the sweepstakes, so you know. Those of you who don't know me yet, and I haven't shouted at you, I'm sorry, I'm Dom, I'm Andy's little brother. Specifically, I'm his half-brother, his brother from another mother. Yes! You might like to consider me as version 2.0. I'm the perfected model compared to the unrefined prototype. I am the slick season finale compared to the clumsy wooden pilot. I really wanted someone to laugh at me. It really says a lot about a man when he asks his much, much younger brother to be his best man. Mostly, of course, it says, I have no friends. But that's unfair. As he's already said, it was my absolute privilege to organise a stag do for Andy about 6 weeks ago, and I had the opportunity to meet some of Andy's friends then, which was when it became obvious why he'd asked me to do this and not any of them.
Where's my money, mate?
Sorry, Jack. Checks in the mail. We'll start off with some housekeeping, some traditional best man speech features before going into the main theme of this evening's symposium, which is some facets of Andy's life and why they make him good husband material. And before we really get started, because I love this kind of thing, I've smuggled a few athletics references into the speech. See if you can keep track of them all, because I really had a field day when I wrote this. There's 2 of them for free. I want you to cheer all of the other ones so that I know that you're listening. I had a really good one for cross country, but I'm afraid it wasn't appropriate before the watershed. First, Jules. I'm sure I can speak to everyone on my side of the aisle today when I say that we're delighted to welcome you into the family. We know how happy you make Andy. We love your warmth, your humour, your eccentricity. That was certainly manifested in today's wedding and whatever it was that I saw earlier. You've organised a beautiful wedding. You look marvellous, and I don't know about these guys, but I'm having an absolutely cracking time. We've definitely observed a positive change in Andy since you came into his life, and I'm particularly excited that this is the first time I get to refer to you as my sister-in-law. Now, it's also traditional for the best man to thank the groom for his kind words to the bridesmaids, and I'm really pleased that he extended that to the whole bridal party. It's always struck me actually that this is an archaic and misogynistic tradition. I'm absolutely certain that bridesmaids usually are more than capable of speaking for themselves. If you've met my daughter, you know that. And in some other cases, without some complete stranger taking the liberty of speaking for you. That said, tradition holds good for me today. I have a daughter, a niece, and 2 nephews in the wedding party, so there's obviously quite a relevance for me. I know how excited they were to be asked, how much preparation and coordination took place between my wife, sister, half-sister, sister-in-law, and that's 4 different people, for those of you who weren't entirely sure, in order to get them and their younger siblings all kitted out. So Andy, thank you very much for your kind words. Later. Another tradition is messages from people who couldn't be here. Jenny, obviously, that you referenced earlier, she said that she was really sorry she couldn't be with you today on this special day. She's sending you lots of love and wishing you every happiness for your life together. So there you go. Right, finally, before we get into the meat or vegetarian alternative of this speech, some thanks of my own. In preparation for this speech, and we're not even a third of the way there, I asked Andy's nearest and dearest for some pointers, and they did not disappoint. So my thanks to Rosemary in particular, who was kind enough to send me several handwritten pages of beautifully crafted character assassination, and one very questionable joke. I will leave it to you to try and figure out whether I used it or not. Ladies and gentlemen, knowing there would be children present, I discarded all the swear words and worked hard with the quarter that was left. To any unmarried men here present, let this be a warning to you, but if you're going to be a mummy's boy for 50 years, the danger is that your mummy will have plenty of stories to share even when you finally do get married. Can't believe you said that. My thanks also to Matt, Kieran, my sisters Laura and Pippa, who provided some additional content, and to my father Peter, who provided some very bad accountancy jokes, which I think he had left over from another father at the bride speech. One of the things, we're into the stuff now. One of the things I enjoyed most as a child were the visits from Andy and Pippa at or usually just after Christmas. As a family, we were not very good at meeting up over the course of the year. A tradition held that we'd start every Christmas gift-giving session with a round of whose birthdays did we miss and owe presents for, usually starting with Dad's in early March. Though I do recall one year when Andy still had presents to give from the previous year's Christmas. However, since Jules has appeared on the scene and whipped him into shape, my reputation as being not quite as bad at Andy at giving timely birthday and Christmas presents has taken a bit of a hit, so thanks for that. The greatest thing for me about these visits, though, and the thing I miss now that I'm a serious grown-up, as you can tell, was the time spent playing games. I think one of the things that Andy and I share, and I suspect we inherited from our father, is a love of playing games. Board games including marathon games of Monopoly as a teenager, thank you, a bit slow, but never mind, yeah. Card games and chess, anything to get out of helping with dinner really, but not just games with other people. Andy also has a love of puzzles, crosswords, Sudoku, brain teasers, mind benders. He's actually a very easy person to buy presents for. But particularly card games, which Andy somehow always manages to win. If you want to play cards, he'll probably have a deck, as long as you have some matches. As long as you have some matches, you can play how many tricks. I was not at all surprised to see Andy get out a pack of cards in the pub before dinner on his own stag do and start up again with how many tricks. For those of you not familiar, it's a game where Andy cons you into thinking that you can win more tricks than either chance or skill could reasonably allow, and then he makes up the scoring so that he always wins. But joking and cheating aside, Andy is a great guy to spend time with. You'll never meet a nicer fellow. And time spent, I should be careful this, time spent just wasting time with him is no waste of time at all. Friends, if that isn't a key for a successful marriage, then I don't know what is. I assume you're all aware of Andy's great love of philately, stamp collecting. Philately, stamp collecting. So vast is his collection that a considerable amount of it can be found at his mother's house, more of which later. Andy is a habitual collector, possibly an obligate collector. I do not think he could live without it. It started innocently enough, the infant Andy cutting out and keeping pictures of tractors from the Farmer and Stock Breeder magazines passed on by his uncle. And that was just a gateway drug. Later, he developed an obsession with car number plates, keeping dozens of little red notebooks full of all the number plates that he encountered. And finally, now his extensive and beloved stamp collection. Now, Rosemary tells me that the many volumes of this collection, the Epsom collection, are all boxed up and ready for delivery. Jules. Assuming you're prepared to take possession of them.
He's got 3 wardrobes in our house full of his stamps. So I don't...
You know what they say, philately will get you everywhere. Seriously, though, maintaining a collection of any kind requires a degree of dedication and patience. Andy has spent a life demonstrating that these are qualities he has in abundance, which are vital attributes for a successful marriage. That's interesting. Those 2 pages are stuck together. On to the next thing. Andy, of course, is a practically minded man and a DIY expert. His keen interest in knowing how things work, how they fit together, how they can be taken apart and occasionally put back together again, has always been a facet of his personality. Rosemary again tells me of a time when Andy, as a little boy, gleefully stripped down to his nuts and... gleefully stripped an old record player down to the nuts and washers, screws and copper wire. Kept bits and bobs in a blue suitcase, which Rosemary assures me is still a treasured possession. Is this true? Have you still got the blue suitcase? Is it still under your bed?
Probably.
Dismantling things to find out how they work became another addiction. Toys, trucks, bikes, always upside down, being dismantled so that you could figure out how they worked. In his teenage years, Andy took a job at a hardware shop. Now, I wasn't going to talk about this very much, but sat here earlier, my dad told me that at about 14 or 15 years old, Andy was left pretty much unsupervised and with very little training using a circular saw all by himself. So it's something of a miracle that he's still alive, etc., etc. He later worked at home base until opting for redundancy to avoid being confined to an office. Is that true?
Something like that.
And you now sit in an office?
Yeah, now I sit in an office.
And now we're not assembling flat-pack furniture, sheds, greenhouses, pirate ships for family and friends. He works for MG Granite and operates in his very own time zone, Granite Time, which I believe is 1 or 2 hours ahead or behind of Greenwich Mean Time, depending on traffic. Is that right? Yeah. In my extensive experience of not quite 8 years, I have come to realise that being practical is a key to a successful marriage. And it would be practical to assume that Jules is practically always right. And for goodness sake, please don't try and take her apart to find out how she works.
No chance.
If you have any trouble understanding this, then I think we can beat you into submission, and that we have some boxing gloves. Is this right? No, just for this occasion. I am sure that Jules knows how to use these. So. I'm about halfway there. This brings me on to my next and favourite section, which I've entitled Andy the Physical Specimen. It would be remiss of me to stumble through this speech without some reference to Andy's athleticism. For over 30 years, longer, my friends, than I have been alive. Andy has been a stalwart member of the Croydon Harriers. His commitment... Sorry, I didn't realise some of you are here, yeah. His commitment to the Croydon Harriers, and I'm quoting Matt here, is simply incredible. I dropped a lot of your jokes, I'm sorry Matt, but I just couldn't bear them. When not competing at just about every discipline in order to earn valuable points, he's serving refreshments, directing park runs, acting as a lead cyclist for the 10k and firing blanks. Sorry, firing the starter pistol. Pay attention now. If there's one message I want to hammer home, it's that Andy's endurance and resilience will definitely stand him in good stead for marriage. But it's the encouragement of others that makes him such a remarkable character. It's a testament to the high esteem in which he is held that when I asked Andy's friends and family for anecdotes, reminiscences and so on, one of the consistent themes was the support and encouragement that he's given to other people. Thousands of hours of voluntary work for the Croydon Harriers. And this sense of charity does indeed begin at home. Laura tells me, sister Laura, somewhere around there she is, that when she did her first ever park run, Andy was by her side, and when she started running and when she was training for the marathon, Andy was full of half marathon. Sorry, Andy was full of encouragement. I have no doubt that Andy will provide that same encouragement and support to you, Jules, whenever you need it, whenever times are hard, whenever the situation calls for frozen hurts, which is not being assaulted by a snowman, it turns out, or copious amounts of chocolate. He'll be there for you to help you clear whatever hurdles life sends your way, albeit you might be on branded time. And there is, however, one thing we need to discuss.
Swimming.
Discuss. It's the smell. The smell. His stinky feet, his stinky clothes. Ladies and gentlemen, his flatulence. Now, perhaps it's not all his pole vault, but another one of those consistent themes from his friends and family and even his wife was that Andy may have a casual approach to personal hygiene, and that maybe, just maybe, the other runners are keen to stay out of his slipstream for fear of the odd bit of wind assistance. And it's not exactly like he treats his body as a temple. His love of brandy butter was the stuff of legend in our household. I recall even seeing him eat it on toast for breakfast one year. In fairness, apart from spicy food, I'm not sure there's anything he won't eat. Even Easter chocolate served up at Christmas. However, I suspect that left to his own devices, the only time he would eat anything remotely healthy was at someone else's house. My sister Laura recalls one time we went to visit him, and despite having lived in his flat for several years, he had absolutely no idea how to work the oven just for pizza. Let's hope that things have improved somewhat.
No.
Andy, the style icon. I'm sure you're keen for me to get on. I'll try not to keep you too long. Jumping into the next section, which I've entitled Andy, the style icon. Now, as my wife will tell you, I'm straying into some dangerous pot kettle territory here, but something that cropped up in my research was Andy's inimitable sense of style, and I didn't think I could let it slip. We all know that Andy likes to get as much wear out of his clothes as possible. His reputation for clinging on to his smelly old kit despite having perfectly good new gear is legendary, such that drastic measures had to be taken on his stag do. Even for his own wedding, it may not surprise you to learn that my suit and shirt are newer than his. And what clothes? I shall quote one of his closest friends who started an email to me with the words, "What to say about a man who thinks bum bags are still cool, still rocks socks and sandals as a look and wears short shorts without irony." Now, it should be noted at this point that there's an alarming similarity between Andy's dress sense and that of our father. Well, Andy, I suppose as long as you can accessorise with a smile, you can get away with wearing anything, even your Andy Pandy costume. So, what do we have? We're getting there, we're getting there. We have a collector with a keen eye for detail and an abundance of patience. A practical man with an aptitude for DIY and an instinctive inquisitiveness to know how things work, how they can be dismantled and in some cases reassembled. A versatile athlete and a dedicated volunteer. A man whose dress sense, like his taste in music, belongs firmly in the 1980s. A man who loves playing with himself. Sorry, a man who loves doing puzzles, playing games, and a little bit of dressing up apparently. A man with stinky feet and more trumps than the White House, an absolute gent, prime husband material, and one of the nicest guys you might ever have the pleasure of knowing. I give you my brother, Andy Del Nevo. Give it a fellow round of applause. I'm sure you are all eager to titivate your attire and trot out your terpsichorean talents to a tantalising tarantella, so I will cease with celerity subject to a subscript salutation, this salacious soliloquy. Let us finish on a high. Jump to your feet as you are able, please. Yellow. To my brother and my new sister-in-law, Andy, if you are even half the man I think you are, you'll be twice the husband anyone could wish for. Jules, if you are even half as fortunate as you deserve, then I hope that Andy turns out to be twice the husband you expected. I hope you javel incredible life together. At least, Jules, I hope you'll give it your best shot putting up with him. Ladies and gentlemen, to Andy and Jules.